we're a clean, intimate skincare company, and we're really focused on wellness-driven solutions that are backed by science for every age and stage of womanhood. The reason why this category or this brand came about was obviously as somebody who is a woman who's been through my own fair share of health issues. I have a chronic hypothyroid condition that really affected my skin in my early 20s. And not only my skin, my health, my hair, my emotional state, my physical state. And my skin was the first telltale sign of this issue, and it created dryness, redness, and erratic skin behavior, but not just here, down there too. And you would think that you could use some of the products that maybe help my skin up here, down there, and no, you can't. The skin is different. It needs its own skincare, and it needs its own knowledge to be able to formulate for an area like this. So this is how Lady Sweet came about. I thought I wasn't alone. Some of the issues I had other than dryness and redness were making ingrown hairs worse, all the way to skin atrophy and skin thinning. And so those are some of the problems that we're dealing with Lady Sweet.
I wonder, when you were originally starting to have some of these issues, and you probably went to your doctors and asked him or her about some of the challenges you were facing, what sort of information was out there, or what sort of products were on the market, and kind of how did that lead you to want to start your own brand and start creating products for women?
That's a great question. First of all, I'm a product developer by trade. So while I'm not a scientist, I've worked with many, and I've been lucky to work with some of the top biochemists who really understand women's health. Who didn't understand vulva health was my own mom, who happens to be an OBGYN nurse, and she never spoke the word vulva at all to me my entire life. When I actually did go to my gynecologist, it was just steroidal creams that they recommended, and that's okay in short doses, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's good for long term. They can thin the skin and actually create rebound. And then when I went to search for products, there definitely were, but I'll be honest, they were a little geared toward menopause at a time where I didn't feel like that was speaking to me, or they were a little too low market, I'll just be honest, where the textures didn't work, the nuance of the products didn't work. And so I just felt like there was a gap here. And you can't always get an appointment with your gynecologist. The vulva is one of the most overlooked parts of a gynecological exam. And then the solutions were a little antiquated, and it didn't have the ingredients that I felt worthy for this most absorbent part of a woman's body.
Obviously, as you think about who your consumer is, I would assume that, primarily female, but at the points in, the life of a female in which, she might use your products, might find value in your products, the addressable market here is really quite large, and you don't necessarily need to have a huge issue or a problem to benefit from the types of products that Lady Sweet is creating and offering.
We're in a very focused assortment right now. Part of that is being self-funded, but also because we were one of the first to champion a category that really was non-existent. We found that millennials drive the business right now. Millennial women were the first to call companies out on their crap, making sure things were more transparent, better ingredients. They were spending more on wellness, and they're moms as well. And that's one of the first times in your life where you become more aware of what you're putting in, on, around your body. And so influential clean beauty retailers were also launching at this time, from the detox market to Goop to Credo, and we all sort of, champion this cause together. And then I would say, then my age, so I'm 45, I'm now entering, more perimenopausal signs, things like vaginismus, where you have dry internal, you have internal dryness. That's our next, group of women that are buying 45 well into menopause. And so, our brand is focused on skin health as an important immune organ. It's important for every stage, from periods through menopause, and then we'll be going into more things like sexual wellness and internal vaginal health as well.
When you kind of look at the overall wellness landscape, where do you see it going from here? Where do you think we might be in, a few years' time from now?
Well, I think it's a great question. For me, wellness didn't really mean much to me until I went through my own wellness journey, and that was with an undiagnosed thyroid condition. I mean, I was 28. It was 2 years before I had some semblance of what was going on. And it wasn't the traditional doctors that told me that. In fact, I had a male doctor that said, if you had a penis, we would have figured this out by now. And that was really, I kind of laughed at first. We were kind of giggling because it caught me off guard. And then when I really went home and thought about it, I'm like, this is really terrible. But I think where it's going is a more personalization, being able to track our bodies, track our cycles, understand the nuances of our lady parts and how that, means to our holistic health. I think part of this thing why we're not able to detect cancers and understand things like ovarian cancers or understand if it's an ingrown hair or a tumor, because we're not being taught about our own parts. And so I really think it's more about, coupling technology, community, so we can share more anecdotal evidence beyond what's just in a science book, because truly there's not a lot of science that exists. And when it does, it's controversial. So it's really about, creating solutions that someone can personalize that is more accessible, more approachable, and honestly, less expensive.
Now we have in-person conversations and, just the building of online communities. I know that's really important for your brand as well.
Right, exactly. I just think that there's always, even when I do these lives, even if there's not 15 million people watching, there's always that one person who got something out of it. And who's like, oh, I didn't know that was what was happening. And that's a big deal, because it's not like we're doctors and can solve the problem, but we can create awareness so then you can become your own detector. And that's what we're really trying to do, is how can we be the best detector of our whole body health today? And you can't do that if you're not comfortable with breasts, vulvas, vaginas, without giving them some sort of attention, whether it's daily or weekly. It's just so important.